Okay, so I do have a message to say. All right, this is kind of hard because something's been preventing me. I don't know why, but it's been a little difficult for me to get out there and somewhat to perfect. But I'll say what I know. Consciousness. Okay, our consciousness is directly linked to stars. We are stars. What are stars? If you go look outside and you look at stars, they're just light that is echoing through space and through time. All right? So, consciousness. A person's consciousness, when they die, what happens? Let's see if you can see me a little bit better. There we go. A person, when they die, they implode. They implode. And what happens when a star implodes? Well, what is consciousness? Is information. Information of what a person is. And what a person is all of their past in that lifetime. Because their bodies are machines. And what is the machine? It's DNA. Okay? And we can go into that, but that's another facet of a larger picture. So I'll say a person is made up of intelligence and soul. Intelligence, if you look at the root definition, intelligence is information that is independent of itself. Okay, now that would be a body, your machine, your vehicle, your vessel. Okay, and it is part of the DNA that, it is made up of, and all of that information that you gather while you are, existing in this plane of reality. So, now, intelligence is separate from a human soul. It took me actually a long time to find out the root definition of the human soul. It's funny because I asked, and I asked a lot of people what a human soul was made up of. Well, everybody knew what the soul was, but actually nobody really knew what it was made up of. I eventually found out it was made up of 3 components, and not one could exist without the other, or the way it works. The soul is mind, will, and emotion. And I can go into another video just talking about that. So those 3 components make up and give a person very close connection to the source. The source, the first and center source, which we call God, first consciousness, creators. We're not just intelligences. A phone is an intelligence. It's like a machine. Our body is a machine, but we're much more. Okay? With our souls, with our intelligence, we are able to move beyond what we have perceived. And we have more capability than what we are utilizing because we have had lack of knowledge, which is not out there. So hopefully I'm able to clear some things up on that. But so let's talk about, like I said, a person when they die. What happens? Well, there's stars. A star implodes and it creates a vacuum. Okay? So a person's consciousness is made up of information. Which person is light? Light. So they talk about going through the tunnel of light. If you know anything about Rosen-Einstein bridges or wormholes, okay? Wormholes is a vacuum of a star imploding. When that happens, okay, it goes through a black hole. And I will explain this later about a person's consciousness and a black hole and the similarities, okay? Or, yeah. So, anyways, what happens is they go and they see this tunnel of light. You've heard it all over. There's been many stories. Nobody that I know that I've experienced has been able to explain this. So they implode. They go through a tunnel of light and they hit a black hole. A black hole, when you go into a black hole through the wormhole, it ends up somewhere. They don't know where. Okay. Now they do know that there are black holes all around us. They're like small and they pop in and out, pop in and out, pop in and out. They don't understand. They can't explain it. Okay. Well, a person's consciousness, a star imploding, goes through the tunnel of light and then pops back out in the other end, which in a black hole, it folds time and space. So this to me would explain past lives. So a person from 1600s dies. Their star, that consciousness implodes. And it goes through the tunnel of light. And it goes through the black hole and pops out, what, 2017? Or 2015. Okay? That consciousness, therefore, goes into another machine, something it can utilize, which, you know, is DNA. And it can go into, there's a lot more interconnection with vibration, names, so on, etc. But I'm not going to go into it. So, so it goes into a new machine. Well, this machine, you know, it does keep its light. It keeps that information. Now, because it goes into the machine, the body or the DNA, you know, it doesn't have, because it has only intelligence at that point, you know, it depends on, and its soul hasn't, you know, mind, will, and motion. Well, a lot of children, you know, recollect or remember or people past lives. Now, I do understand that in a person's aurora energy field, there are bands that go around the energy field, and I've talked to some people that, you know, are able to see this, and I've done some research, and each of those bands, depending on how many they have, they're different. It shows how many past lives that they have had, how many times they have recycled. Okay. So, you know, and it depends on a person's awareness, consciousness, they can tap into it, especially children. But, you know, that fades with time. So just let's think about a little bit of that. Okay. And let me know how you feel about that. The thing is, I want to talk about in the future is that this cycling has got to stop. It's because people actually don't use their soul, their mind, will, and motion with their intelligence. We are creators. It's our point of view. We can make anything we want as long as it's within our knowledge and awareness. And if I can make you aware, you don't have to, and what happens to you when you go through that tunnel of light, you don't have to just pop back into what you know at a later date, or who knows, past date, past, present, future, who knows. But you could pierce the veil. You can be one of those stars you do see out there. And one of those stars, they're suns. They have their own worlds and their own galaxies. And they are ones that, you know, evolved, enlightened. Now, we're in a new age, new time, and it's time. It's time to get knowledge out there, self-awareness and self-revelation of what you really are. You're just not a machine. You're so much more. Think about it.